Hey, what's going on YouTube? In today's video, we are going to be ranking the MBTI with most compatible to the ENFP. Now, I know a little bit more about this personality type because I am one. So, these are my thoughts as to the compatibility with the ENFP. We are going to be going over the romantic compatibility, obviously, but also the friendship compatibility, because not all personality types will be the most compatible romantically with every personality type, you know? So even if they're friend zoned, they're still, special. So this is more of a overall synopsis of the compatibility of the ENFP and other personality types. Okay, so let's get into it. The ENTP. They're going here, as in I love you. Oh, I should go over the tiers. 1 second, guys. So we have snort rainbow lines and dance to old-fashioned music. This means the ENFP loves you and wants to snort rainbow lines and dance to old-fashioned music. All ENFPs love old-fashioned music. That's just a tell to an ENFP. And they also do like snorting rainbow lines. And then we have I love you, as in when an ENFP says I love you, they mean it. And if they say that to you, you're in a high bracket. Then we have you're invited to the indoor cookout, because all ENFPs hold indoor cookouts. Very creative personality type. They'll make it work. And then they have you're cool, I guess. ENFPs are a very friendly personality type, so they're amicable with pretty much all personality types. And then at the bottom, it's let's be friends, but I will ghost you. As in, the ENFP probably says they like you, and they might mean it in the moment, but you're not going to last very long with the personality types up here. So it's best if you guys just keep your distance. Anyway, yes, back to the ENTP. I have personally had ENTP friends as an ENFP, and they're great. They are great. Romantic compatibility wise, it's not always the best. You guys don't really get anything done with us. It's always just, what's this new crazy idea we can talk about? Endless conversations for hours, of course, with two N's put together. You go off on tangents constantly. So it's fun. But romantic compatibility wise, it's just not going to be there. But it is a great personality type. The inferior SI on both of us makes us just not that compatible, to say the least. We do appreciate your TI, your different outlook onto things as we use TE, and you making room for our FI with your FE is always very nice. So yes, you are in a higher bracket. We like you guys. Let's do the younger brother of the ENTP, the ESTP. They're probably going to go here. Now, why is this? My best friend from my childhood is an ESTP. Okay, I love them very much so. But and we mesh very well. We have good banter. It's a very fun time. The only really issue with it is they're not intuitive at all, really. They're smart, they're practical, they're fun to be around, but they're not that intuitive. So the things that they want to do, this is something that's pretty stark and obvious. As SE DOMs always want to experience things, and so do NE DOMs, but it's in a different way. NE DOMs want to explore and experience different ideas, whilst SE just wants to stay as lively and present in the moment as possible, and that's very hard for ENFPs. So when it comes to facilitating a group activity with an SE DOM, they're just going to want to do whatever satiates their senses. As for an ENFP, ENTP, NE DOMs, we want to do what stimulates our intellectual curiosities, stimulates our brain in a different way, helps us learn something. So there can be a lot of issues. They also aren't intuitive, and they also don't have any FI whatsoever, which an ENFP isn't going to appreciate too much as far as relating to their very deep emotions and connecting very viscerally on that level. With the ENTP, they're at least intuitive, so they have a hold over their cognitive functions a little bit better in that way, if that makes sense. The ESFP, you're going to go right with the ESTP for pretty much the same reasons. The only thing I will say is they have FI, so we connect with them almost as if the ENTP is the ESTP's brother. The ESFP is kind of like the ENFP's, little bro a lot of the time in social dynamics. They're very much in the moment. They're great with people. They're charismatic. They are entertaining, of course. They are called the entertainer. But it seems that for the ESFPs, since they don't really have the intuition to understand their emotional state, they're just giving into their emotions at any given moment, which the ENFP can find a little bit annoying if they're underdeveloped. So as far as romantic compatibility goes, it isn't going to be the best, but as friends, they will make very amicable, good friends. The ENFJ is going up here. Why is the ENFJ going up here? They could even go up here. Statistically, ENFJs and ENFPs work great. All intuitive feeling types go very well together in general. With the ENFJ, they're very accepting of the ENFP. They both have fun together. They both like to explore. There's a lot of good with the ENFJ. They're also pretty deep people with their NI. Not as deep as the NI DOMs, but the ENFP likes dissecting the ENFJ's brain until they can. Until they can't anymore, because the ENFJ isn't as deep as the NI DOMs. But still a very good compatible personality type as far as gripes go. The ENFJ's FE might come into contention with the ENFP's FI, but ENFPs have high FE, so they'll understand where the ENFJ is coming from. There's another positive thing I wanted to say. What was it? Oh, yes. Since they are a judging type, they are going to help ENFPs stay a little bit more studious. So that's another net positive for the ENFJ. Very good personality type. I have ENFJ friends. Great personality type. The ENTJ is probably going to go up here. They make very good friends. They make very good acquaintances. They make very good lovers. Ooh, that SE is a kicker for them. So they also help the ENFP stay studious. They also have TE as their dominant function. And something you will see with the ENTJ also is, since their critical parent function is NE, they are going to very much respect the ENFP's input. In general, from what I've seen, ENTJs find ENFPs, as far as any DOMs go, the less annoying one, the one that's bearable, the one that's they can relate to more. So, yes, that's another positive. They also share FI, so they can connect emotionally, which is a very good thing for both types, and especially the ENFP. They have a good time together. Intellectual conversations, debates, all of it. They're a pretty good person. They're pretty good personality types for each other. The INFP. This one's a little bit hard because they can be this. They can very much be this. But I'm going to put them here, and here's why. So with the INFP, they share the same cognitive functions, just in a little bit of a different way. So how an INFP sees an ENFP is sort of like almost as if the ENFP has thoughts that the INFP can't portray. It's like they're deep-seated thoughts that they don't really express, but the ENFP, since they are fairly eloquent speakers with any, they can kind of speak on the INFP's thoughts, so they appreciate that. The issue here is there's too much FI here. There's not really that balance, I guess, is what we'd go for. But it can always be worked out. Just there are issues, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Lots of cuddling with this personality type. Lots of just doing what each other want. It's a very chill relationship with the ENFP. Overall it's a good relationship. They both like to explore. They both have any value, any highly, or have it in a high slot. It just doesn't have that balance is what I'm trying to say, but they are definitely an I love you. Next we have I believe this is ESFJ, and they're down here. If they like the ESFJ, especially if they use their FE charm, they might be up here and be invited to the indoor cookout. But the ESFJ in general is a little bit lower on the bracket list, as a lot of ESFJs are attracted to ENFPs because of their third spot NE. It just usually doesn't work out. They can bring a lot of merit to the ENFP, though, since they are a judging type and have high SI. So they could reap a lot of benefits from one another, but it just most likely won't work out, because the biggest gripe with the ENFJ is the fact that they have FE as their dominant function, which might come into contention with the ENFP, who just wants to do whatever the fuck they want. And with these guys, they want to make it sure everything is down, everything is packed, everything is okay with their SI, but they also kowtow to how people feel with FE, and those two functions in tandem together will come into play with how the ENFP normally operates. So they can make good friends, but not much else. The INTP, they're going to go here as well. I have found personally that INTPs make better friends for ENFPs, great friends in fact. A very funny pairing to have together in a room, for sure. As the INTP is the counselor for the ENFP. They ground the ENFP's ideas. They take a logical approach to it, but they very much respect one another most of the time. And the ENFP helps them with their little baby FE as well. As far as being in a relationship goes, it could work, but I guess the ENFP would have to have a high TE, and they would need a lot of time apart because they like to do vastly different things. And the INTP needs a lot of space as well. And there's not much emotional engagement with an INTP, which an ENFP needs at least a little bit of, to be totally cool. So INTPs make great friends. They can very much love them. A very lovable personality type. The ISTJ. This is a very interesting one because, as a lot of personality types have contention with their inverse personality type, ENFPs and ISTJs don't have as much of an issue as other types. I'm going to put them here, and this is why. So first off, they have the same two middle functions, the same stress functions, so they can help one another grow in that way. They also help one another grow, of course, with SI and S and NE. In that regard, they also don't really get too annoyed of each other, which other inverted functions of each other do. There's a lot of good here, to be completely honest. FI being prioritized for the ISTJ. In general, this personality type is probably the most grounding for the ENFP to be in. If you're looking for a fling or to work on yourself, get yourself one of these ENFPs. They'll whoop you into shape. But as far as long term goes, they might get bored of the ISTJ if they can't, if they don't have more to pull from in terms of, substantiating a relationship. Another problem with them would be that since ENFP is an NE dom, they always want to explore, when an ISTJ just wants to sort of do their own thing and turtle walk around the house and maybe make some food for the ENFP, which the ENFP will appreciate, but again, they're just not up here. Then we have the executive. This is a very tricky one because there's a lot of good here, but there's also quite a bit of bad. A lot of problems, much like the ISFJ, but a lot of good like the ENTJ. So I'm going to put them here. If it's a well-developed ESTJ, they could probably go right here or maybe even up here. But one thing I will say from personal experience here is with ESTJs that we very much respect one another and we do have a fun time. They kind of get a really bad rep, I guess, the ESTJ, for being Karens, which a lot of them are. But I see them more like the coworker with their third spot NE that puts a spider on your cup, like draws on a spider, and that's like their practical cute joke they make. And ENFPs are like, oh, that's cute, child NE. They respect one another's cognitive sets because they share the same cognitive sets. The only thing is the ESTJ is very henceforth with their goals, and ENFP just sometimes wants to chill, and a little bit too henceforth. It's not like the INTJ or the ISTJ. It's like we need to get shit done, and they push, and they're constantly pushing away their FI, which an ENFP is just going to want to fuck with and have fun with the FI. So that might be an issue. But good friends, good acquaintances. They can have really great conversations. I've had great conversations with an ESTJ. They're just not up here. It's not something that would go long term or anything like that. ISFP are probably going here as well. ISFP see ENFPs as sort of, because one thing that a ISFP loves is people that just express themselves and have fun, and they can just sit back and kind of laugh and enjoy. And ENFPs are that. ISFPs love being around ENFPs a lot of the time. But the ENFP might find them a little bit vapid and devoid of character a lot of the time, even though they're an FI dom. That sounds crazy, but the intellectual stimulation, as far as them being there, they might see them as a little bit vapid. But, that doesn't include all ISFPs, of course. As far as their cognitive setups go, SE in a protective position isn't always going to want to explore things. It's more on guard about things. It isn't like these guys, so it's a little bit better in some ways and worse than some ways. Better in some ways meaning they aren't just trying to explore things, but at the same time they're not open to explore everything. It's more pertaining their own character, as they are an FI dom. So ENFPs might get annoyed with that as well. And they also have inferior TE, which means ENFPs aren't going to want to develop their TE with them which will hold them back for the longevity of a relationship. Also, ENFPs say a lot of crazy stuff sometimes, just to have fun, and that might make the ISFP mad if the ISFP is emotionally attached to them. Who should we do next? ISFJ. I made this category for the ISFJ. Now, as you can see, the last video I did was on INTJ, but this video is on ENFPs, and they can pretty much get along with every personality type, but a romantic pursuit with a ISFJ is just fucking horrendous. And even as friends. Now, why is this? Well, to start, that's an issue. They have SI as their dominant function, and it's not like these guys. These guys, SI, works a little bit differently. They are sentimental, but they also have FE harmony, which is not going to give a shit about how the ENFP is feeling. So they're pretty much going to whip ENFP back into place constantly. And the ENFP is just going to feel like they are over encumbering, and that's going to get annoying to them. And the ISFJ is going to feel like the ENFP is being too much, doing too much, and then that will be an issue. ENFPs are going to find ISFJs initially very sweet, very kind, but issues will arise. So yes, just how the cognitive setup works, the SI doesn't work very well with the ENFP. And yes, the inferior NE is going to get very annoying to the ENFP if they aren't going to want to rely on the ENFP to solve problems. But some of them will. No intellectual stimulation here also, which ENFPs won't like. ISTP. They're also invited to the cookout, I guess. They're not going to love them. But the ISTP is a good personality type for the ENFP to be friends with, and that's it. Because the ISTP is going to see the ENFP as cute and cool and funny, outgoing, of course, and they're going to have a good time. It's just they have very different ways of perceiving the world and experiencing things, and different problem-solving techniques with their completely different cognitive setup. So they just aren't really a match, but they do make good friends. There's not much more I really need to say here because they are just vastly different people, but, you know, they can respect one another. All personality types can make for a relationship, I guess, developing on, counting on how much they have developed. Let's do ENFP. This is an interesting one. They're going right here as well because they are an NE dom. Yeah, aren't really going to push each other too much to get shit done. I mean, they can. They probably will figure out that's what they need to do to keep the longevity of their relationship going. And they can be up here. Don't get me wrong. They have TE together, so when they sort of put their hive mind ENFP shit together and they're done, you know, snorting rainbows, of course they could probably go up here, but they just don't make for the best couples, I guess. There can be also that yin and yang there because ENFPs are probably the most adaptable personality type, and they mistype the most out of any personality type as well. So, you know, one day if they need to act like an INTJ, they probably will. The next day if they need to act like a, you know, ENTP, they probably will, or an INFP. So they'll probably be very adaptable to each other, which will be very good. I'm actually hesitating towards putting them up here, which is quite strange because it's the same personality type. But sometimes they remind each other of themselves, and yeah, ENFPs want something different that they can explore. So that's why they're here. Then we have the NI-DOMs, and they are both up here. So let's talk about the golden pair first. Actually, we'll talk about INFJ first. So they're an NI-DOM. There's really not much I need to say more about that. NI-DOMs and NI-DOMs are the quintessence of a perfect match, pretty much, in different ways for the different cognitive middle match setups for the including the ENTP and ENFP. But for the INFJ, it's a very romantic relationship. It's very, I've been in a relationship with an INFJ. It's a very, it's all about how one another feel, because they're extremely, both extremely emotionally intelligent as to how one another are feeling. They do it in different ways. They are each other's shadow functions. The FE problem really doesn't matter as much, because the INFJ is figuring out exactly how the ENFP works and understanding how they work, so they're not going to judge them as much for it. There's the intellectual stimulation there between these two. There's it's a good pairing, I guess. And of course, as I said in the last video, NI, NE, SI, SE go very well together. Or should I say SE, NI, or NE, SE, NE, NI, SE go very well together. So it's just a good relationship overall. And then last but definitely not least, INTJ. So as of right now, I am actually married to an INTJ, and I have to say it's probably the best relationship I've ever been in. It's a great personality type to be in a relationship with an ENFP. And I talked about it in my last tier list video, but it's a really good matchup for a lot of the reasons I said in that last video, but I'll get into more. So ENFPs are very morally grounded, authentic people, and so are INTJs. INTJs love to delve deep into their own emotions, and ENFPs like that about them, because they are both very complex creatures, and an ENFP likes to understand those emotions, and helping an INTJ understand that their emotions aren't really just these what do I say? These strenuous, tedious, things in life that prohibit you from moving forward. In fact, they're beautiful things as intuitive feeling types see them. And then the INTJ brings practical use, or finds practical use for themselves for the ENFP, but also, once they get close, tries to expound upon the ENFP's potential a lot of the time. And this just makes for a perfect yin and yang most of the time. There's that with the INFJ, but it's different because INTJs value FI and ENFPs have high FI. So they go together very well. So yes, it's a good matchup. I already said a lot and expounded upon a lot of things in my last video, but yes, same stress functions, even their shadow functions go together well. It's a great matchup, both NI-DOMs. Look, they're married right here, either way, because all of them get along, and these guys are friends, and these guys are friends. It's amazing. So yeah, this is the list. Yeah, ENFPs can get along with most personality types, but there are certain that are special to them. So yeah, that's going to be the video. Like and subscribe. And for more Myers-Briggs videos, bye-bye.